is taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. All right, we go into hour two with our buddy Kurt Heelan of NBC Sports. He's the NBA editor for all of it. And you can follow him on X at Basketball Talk. He's constant as well on Coast to Coast with us talking rack. Hope you had a great Christmas, Kurt, and Happy New Year ahead of time from all of us to you and your family. Good to see you as always. Thank you for doing this today. So I want to start with the talk of, two things. LeBron and Curry yesterday tried to sell me that, this is, you better, take advantage of this opportunity to see these guys because the end is near and, we may not see them again play against each other. And it's it's on its last legs and all this other nonsense. I don't believe that for a minute. I said earlier on the show that I don't believe Curry's walking away with this interview he did with that chick saying the end is near. I don't believe that. And then the talk of Pat Riley saying we're not trading Jimmy Butler. I don't believe that either.
I think the Heat would trade Jimmy Butler, but it's going to take a Godfather offer. It's going to take somebody coming in with an offer that they can't say no to. And the problem becomes, I don't know where that comes from. The challenge is I'm not sure where that deal is, largely because, look, the owners really wanted to squash Joe Lacob in Golden State and Steve Ballmer. And so they put in all these new, the tax aprons and all these new restrictions. And it's just really hard to pull off a trade. Miami can't take $1 back more in a trade, and neither can most of the teams they're dealing with. It just becomes hard. So I'm not sure that trade comes together. But look, if the right deal lands on Pat Riley's table the next month, he'll take it. He'll jump at it.
I don't believe that, frankly, he's worth some gigantic deal anymore. No. I just don't think his game is worth some gigantic offer and a bunch of, top draft picks and players. It's just not feasible. His game has leveled off. It's like, sometimes he barely plays. What's he going to do? Like, he's going to go put the Suns over the top, the Warriors over the top. I don't believe any of that. I think he is where he is. And I think they already missed their opportunity to get something for him.
That I think is true. Look, is he an upgrade over Kuminga in Golden State? Yes. Is he an upgrade over Bradley Beal? Yeah, absolutely. Except the Heat aren't going to take Bradley Beal's contract back because he's got like 2 years and $100 million left. So the problem,
I don't think he's better than Kuminga at his age. What? No, you heard me. At his age,
to win right now.
I understand, but at his age, like last night, we're watching this guy throwing down dunks in people's faces and playing in the block like I'm going to dunk on you, and the hops he has and the youth and the legs and the I think the energy and no history of injuries. This guy Butler to me is old news. He's banged up. He doesn't go dunk in anyone's face anymore. Those days are over. I would take Kuminga over him right now today. Thank you very much.
The other problem with Butler, he's got a player option for next year. Whoever gets him, whether he stays in Miami long-term or more likely gets signed and traded in the offseason or whatever, you've got to pay him going out. And how much do you want to pay him? Miami did not want to give him what he wanted, which was the max, like $113 million, 2 extra years. They were not going to give him that because you're right. Like, man, I'll pay LeBron at 40, but I'll even pay Curry right now, but I am not paying Jimmy Butler. I don't think he lifts you up the same way. So I get why they're not doing that. I'm not sure that the market Jimmy Butler thinks is out there for him is out there, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Look, I think he moves on in the offseason. I think Miami starts tweaking what they look like, but they're probably going to ride this season out because I just don't think they have another good option.
So what do you think this Luka thing looks like? A month?
Probably. If it's a grade 2, I don't know that we've officially heard yet unless it just came down. Like a grade 2 is a month, usually 15 games, about 30 days, which, by the way, Scott, takes him out of the running for MVP, takes him out of the running. He's already missed 8 games, like all NBA. None of that happens. And Dallas just tries to stay afloat they're like 6-2 without him this year, but like they'd be just trying to stay afloat. and get to the playoffs in a good position.
I heard today he officially blamed Scott Foster for his calf injury and all the other refs in the NBA. He blames them for not getting the MVP and everything else. I'm just kidding. All right, so what I want to ask you about, believe me, he will. So the guys that have made the biggest difference for me for the Thunder have been Hartenstein and Caruso. What a brilliant front office move to add those two pieces. One is a glass Windex cleaner. The other one, is a defensive mongrel. And I just think those two vets with that young core, no wonder they have the number one front office in basketball, according to everyone. No wonder they're as good as they are. They lost the Cup Finals. So what? They're going to be in the NBA playoffs deep.
They lost the Cup Finals because they had one of those shooting nights, man, that every team just has. They just had one of those nights. I was in the building. It wasn't, and by the way, it wasn't just threes. Like, they were missing twos. They were 2 of 22 on wide open threes. It was just one of those nights. That team, the other thing that jumps out at you when you see them in person, remember last year, the Lakers pushed them around. They struggled with size, and Dallas did it to them in the playoffs when they knocked them out. You can't do that anymore. And it starts with Hartenstein, but it's also guys like Jalen Williams and other guys on that roster who said, we got to be stronger. We've got to be. And they came back. They're young. They came back and they're like, all right, we're stronger. We're going to be physical. We're going to start taking it to teams. They are really a complete roster right now in a way that maybe only Boston, I'm not even sure who else is in the league.
Are you surprised Boston's lost 8 games? Are you surprised that Cleveland's in front of them?
I'm more surprised Cleveland's in front of them just because Cleveland's always been good, but I didn't think Kenny Atkinson was going to have this kind of turnaround. I didn't think we were going to, I don't know that I ever thought we'd get this out of Evan Mobley, where like he's an offensive force now. But I thought Boston might get bored with the regular season a little, as much as Joe Mazzulla talks about it and shows some animal videos or, some lion hunting videos. At the end of the day, man, like they're going to get motivated when the playoffs come. They'll look good then as long as they're healthy. But the combination of like they missed Porzingis for a while and the grind of the regular season, I just don't – I think I don't want to say they're going to flip the switch. I just think their champions get bored.
I think the Knicks are really good, man. And I think that Bridges is coming into his own. They've already got Cat and Brunson and Anunoby. And listen, if they ever play defense, they're going to be dangerous.
That's going to be the trick, right? And they should be better on defense than they are. Look, Cat's not a great drop-back defender, how they're using him, and they will get Mitchell Robinson back at some point, knock on wood. Like, hopefully they get him back. But when you've got Anunoby and Bridges on the perimeter, you should be able to stay in front of guys better than they have been so far. I still think they'll be better on that end. And their offense is so good, Scott. They don't need to be great on defense. They just need to be – it's like Denver when they won. You just need to be good enough.
How does this one throw you for a loop? Are you surprised that the Kings have fallen off like they have with Sabonis and Fox, et cetera, that like they were really tough and now they kind of suck?
It's been surprising, and they've been unlucky. They've been really unlucky in close games. But I'm with you. Like, they're not this bad. They're not like, I didn't think they were going to make some deep playoff run with these guys, but they're not like missed the play-in bad with these guys either. And they're just in a streak right now. They're just losing everything to everybody. And it's hard in the West to turn it around, Scott. You and I have talked about this. That like the teams missing the play-in right now are like Phoenix and Sacramento. Like, it's going to be really tough to find the wins to turn this around, but they've got to find it fast because they just don't look good. They just look off.
You're the man, Kurt. It's great to have you on Coast to Coast, as always, talking NBA Rack. Happy New Year, brother. All the best.
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
there's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all, because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, so the NBA Christmas games yesterday were the most watched in 5 years, with ratings up 84% from last year's slate. And I just want to say, like, okay, whatever. They always tell me the NBA year to year, the ratings are up. They always tell me the NHL ratings are up year to year. Stanley Cup playoffs are up year to year. The Winter Classic is up year to year. I just don't believe it. I got to tell you, I watched those games yesterday, and I thought they were decent. I didn't think they were great games at all. I just thought, I'm like, okay, so the Knicks won by 3 because Wembanyama had 42 and Bridges had 41. It was a decent game. It was okay. Yeah. Let's not act like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Then we saw, Dallas? They were losing by 30. Okay, that game sucked. Then all of a sudden, Minnesota quit trying, and they let Dallas back in the game. It was like the game was fixed. I was like watching two different games. Like, they're up 30 and they're killing them, and then all of a sudden it's a 1-point game. I felt like it was fake. I really do. I thought it was phony. Then you see Philly, one of the worst teams this year, kick the champs' ass. I was like, what is happening here? Then I watched the Lakers. That was the best game. The Lakers and Dubs were the best game. And then the last game was a 10-point game. Look, I love basketball more than anybody. I really do. And I play more basketball than anybody. I still thought it was average. I was like, the NFL games were so bad that people were fooled into believing that the NBA mic was great yesterday. That wasn't great. Are you kidding me? I had more fun watching my kids open presents.
So a couple of things on that. I think it's good that the ratings were up, obviously, because there's been a narrative lately about how the ratings in the NBA suck and nobody watches it anymore, and for all a variety of reasons that people who don't watch basketball have decided to come up with for the reason that people don't watch the NBA. They'll pull any political argument or any other thing to bring into the fact of why people don't watch the NBA. You and I know why people aren't watching. The games are typically not compelling enough. And there's a very big departure from the way basketball was played 15 years ago. Those are real reasons. Now, to your point about yesterday, we had close games. That doesn't mean games are great. The NFL has a lot of close games, Scott. lots of close games. They engineer it so that games are close. There's a lot of them that suck. You and I watch it every Sunday. I'm on with Joe Rainieri every Sunday being like, all right, that Panthers game was close, but I didn't have fun watching it. No.
Right.
And
You're
yesterday was probably a little bit of that with the NBA.
Listen, I'm going to say this to you. Basketball, and people hate hearing this, old man on the porch, get off of my lawn, all the other nonsense. Screw everybody. Screw everybody. When I tell you that basketball was so much better a decade ago, 2 decades ago, it wasn't even funny. I don't know what this is, but all they do is chuck threes. That's what it is. It's a league that chucks threes. That's all they do. There is no rivalries. There's no wars. There's no battles. There's no violence. There used to be, absolute. Like, I remember watching Larry Bird and the Pistons punch each other in the face. Like, there were violent games where guys were swinging haymakers at the other team. Violence.
And not get kicked out, by the way. And not get kicked out of the game.
And the Bulls taking on the Pistons, same thing. That was better basketball than basketball today. They say the players that today the game is so advanced and everything else. There's a lot of bullshit. These players today are not better than those players. They're not. They're just
Anthony
not.
Edwards, Scott, leads the league in 3-point attempts. None of us really want to see him doing that.
No.
We want to see him dunk in people's faces, which he can do as well as anybody. And it's more impressive because he's not bigger than some of the guys on which he's dunking. That is compelling. And yes, we are a couple of old guys talking about hoops the way it used to be. And I would also raise my hand and say there were problems with hoops in the 90s too, right? They became a little too much of a fist fight. It was fun and compelling at times, but it also bogged down. We had scoring in the 70s at times. You want guys to fill it. And the 80s was a lot like that. Ball kept moving around. Now, there are things about the game now that are advanced in the way that they weren't back then. And we saw this with baseball. Baseball had to go through some doldrums of people not talking about the sport every day for the commissioner to have to try some things. And frankly, baseball is in a better place now than it was even 3 or 4 years ago. Pitch clock at the top of the list. The NBA will have to address some of these issues, whether it's players sitting out or moving the line back. There are a bunch of different ideas that they should try at different levels of basketball. The G League is a perfect place to work this stuff out. Just try some rule changes and see if it makes the games more compelling on an individual basis.
I think we need more Bronny. I'm just kidding. Here we go. Orlando. Let's start with this one. I'm gonna start with Orlando at the Kia at home. I'm sorry I jumped the gun, but I was gonna screw it up either way. Can I get Magic Heat in the Kia in the Big O? You see the numbers right there. Who do you like in that one tonight in Orlando?
Orlando coming off a good performance the other night. I'll take them. Only laying a point here. I like the Magic. I think they're. Even though Paolo's missed a lot of time, I think Orlando's in a good spot tonight.
The Silva is playing well for them, Suggs, etc. Let's go back to where I should have started. Thunder and Pacers at the Fieldhouse in Indy. I like the Thunder no matter what.
Yeah, the longest win streak in the NBA at 8 games. I think don't step in front of the freight train.
All right, Charlotte and Washington tonight in the district. They're getting 4.5. Both of these teams smell.
Yeah. Washington is 4-23. Imagine it's not even Christmas season has long been over for an NBA team. That's depressing. I will not bet on Washington with anybody's money, including yours and any of your family members. So, no on Washington.
I got 6 games left. So what I'll do is I'll come back and do those 6 games, and then we'll dive into how bad our Steelers have become over the last 10 days, losing a 2-game lead in the North. They will lose the North. They will now play on the road in the wild card.
As the candles flicker, A new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah. 8 nights of winning insights.
Like, they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number.
Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today. They cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans, bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
All right, we're doing the NBA games with my boy Blue. And it's Chicago, Atlanta, in Atlanta at the State Farm in Hottown. Atlanta laying 6.5. That's a meaty tomahawk steak bone to be laying to the Bulls and boost.
This feels like backdoor cover all day. I don't want to bet on the Bulls. This is probably a pass kind of a game, but I'd take the points and hold my nose on it. It just feels like a backdoor cover all day.
Yeah, I like the Bulls in the number to be in this game. Toronto and Memphis off Beale Street, it's 11.5. The problem I have is how many times Toronto covers, even though they stink. I think Memphis is coming off a loss. I say they take it out on Toronto.
11.5 though, Scott. That's a big matzo ball. That's a huge matzo ball.
I'm going to go for it. They're not losing 2 in a row at home, and they're going to take it out on them. They're going to have a big night tonight. Toronto, the thing is, for me, Toronto covers all the time. Everybody's like, Toronto's a great team to cover. Watch them tonight lay an egg in Memphis and get their ass beat by 20.
Yeah. All right. I'm with you on that.
All right, Brooklyn, Milwaukee at 5-serve. There is no way. I bet on Brooklyn the other night with 10.5 against the Heat. They lost by 15. I'm going Milwaukee here, minus the 9.5. They've been playing great basketball. Even when Giannis and Dame don't play, Bobby Portis and Brooks Lopez, those guys still win and cover.
5.5 is the first half number. I like that more than the 9.5. So give me Bucks minus 5.5 first half.
Fair enough. All right, the next game we're going to look at is Houston and New Orleans at the Smoothie. I think they played the other night against each other. Am I crazy? I guess they didn't. No, they played them the other day. They beat them by 133-113. And I say, and that was in Houston, so they blew them out in Houston. I say they beat them again this time by about 10 in New Orleans because the Pelicans suck.
I'm with you. I think you could lay that number and also lay 4.5 first half for the Rockets.
Utah and Portland at the Moda in Rip City. Utah's getting 3. I actually think they'll win the game outright.
I'm with you. Take the Jazz on the road.
And then Detroit, Sacramento. The Pistons are getting 5.5. I'll take it. The Kings have been landfill ass, and the Pistons coming off the win over the Lakers at the Crypt. Give me Detroit. They've been surprisingly tough.
And there's been a money bet for the last few weeks for the Kings. Domantas Sabonis, over 18.5 rebound assist combo. He's hitting that consistently. I'd take the over on Sabonis.
Sabonis is great. Everybody else has been mustard. All right, let's talk about the NFL pain day from Christmas Day. Albeit torturous for both of us. The Chiefs rolled the Steelers 29-10. It was ugly at the place the Steelers play. Mahomes, 320 yards and 3 tutties. It was his best game of the season. Kelsey, 84 yards and a tutty, breaking the Tony Gonzalez record with his touchdown catch and 1,000 yards, 1,000 receptions, excuse me. He's had nowhere near 1,000 yards this year while he's been sleeping with the rock star. He's done nothing, but he showed up for the game in Pittsburgh. Worthy had a TD. I hit that anytime with Carver High. Steelers, 2 turnovers, a fumble, and a pick. I have to tell you, I think Russell Wilson the last 3 weeks has been absolutely awful. Here's Mahomes hitting Watson for the tutty to put the Chiefs up 2 scores on Netflix.
In motion. Looks like man coverage. Mahomes rifles. Touchdown. Boom. He hits Watson for the score. The Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, so they got the top seed with the win. Home field throughout at Arrowhead. Kelsey becomes the Chiefs' all-time TD leader, is 77th, passing Gonzalez. He dunked over the goalpost. Here's Kelsey talking about whether he cleared things with Reed before his celebration.
Did you look over to Coach Reed before the celebration on the touchdown?
No. I knew the score, and I knew that my guy Harrison had my back on the field goal. So it's just it's showing Tony some love, and just a big tribute to who he's been in this, not only this organization, but who he's been for football. And we know how iconic it was that he would dunk the ball over the goalpost all the time. And I gave my best effort. I don't know if I did it quite like him, but I gave it a run.
When we come back, we'll hear from Andy Reid, and we'll listen to Mike's breakdown of what has happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 3 weeks.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
They may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number.
Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take. By the time I hit, guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans, bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Second half kickoff here on a Thursday, coast to coast, fresh off Christmas Day, the day after, always a drag. The party's over, Romeo. Although next Tuesday night is New Year's Eve. New Year's Day is Wednesday. New Year's Eve, there's a playoff college football game. New Year's Day, there's 3 of them. I mean, it is just beautiful. All right, here's Andy Reid talking about his Chiefs.
And Nags with his game plan, putting this thing together on a short week. Now, that's a tough thing to do. And those guys, when they had free time, which it wasn't a lot, they made sure they got a solid game plan, as did Spags with his crew and coaches. I just think all the coaches did a nice job, and then the players buying into it on a short week and studying to make sure that they weren't flopping around out there. I thought they were very diligent with that.
So I don't want to hear about Tomlin talking about they didn't play the type of football that they expected to play. What I want to ask you, Mike, is what has happened to the Steelers? Is it just that they played the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs, or have they fallen to pieces?
I think it's a big part of who they had to play. I'm not going to complain. We complained about the schedule enough at the beginning of the year. The Steelers were dealt a really bad hand. The beginning of the schedule was fairly easy, though. The Steelers were they had won 7 out of 8 games. The only loss was that crappy short week performance against the Browns. But they had ripped off 7 of 8 games heading into this 3-game stretch, and they're not getting it done, especially offensively. The Steelers, I think the thing that people will forget about this, and people keep calling it, the last 3 weeks, the Steelers haven't looked good. It was 11 days. They had to play 3 games in 11 days, but You know what? The Texans, Chiefs, and Ravens had to do it too, and the Ravens looked fantastic in the last couple of games, and the Chiefs maybe had their best offensive performance yesterday. I still think people somehow are underrating the Chiefs because they want them to be bad. Chris Jones didn't play yesterday, and they limited the Steelers to 10 points. He's their best defensive player. Steelers are bad defensively. But the thing I was going to say, in these 3 games, these were all one-score games in the fourth quarter. Granted, 2 of them, there were early scores in the fourth quarter for their opponents, but these are one-score games in the fourth quarter. They're not getting blown out. They are just not picking up first downs. They are unusually conservative with play calling, refusing to go downfield with the ball, A, and B, punting in situations where you are no longer able to punt in this game. And unfortunately, Tomlin has done that twice in the last 11 days. He did it yesterday, and he did it against Philly. Baltimore, the horse was out of the barn. But in these last 3 games, again, in 11 days, Scott, they scored in the second half of these games 3 yesterday, 7 against Baltimore, when they tied the game in the third quarter. And against Philly, big fat bagel, the 10.5-minute drive to end the game. We all remember what happened there because it wasn't that long ago. But they have to beat Cincinnati, or it really is same old Steelers over the course of the last 7 years. They have to win this game against Cincinnati and not back into the playoffs as they've done the last few times they've made it.
So let's say they hypothetically win the game against Cincinnati, who's on fire right now. And I think they'll beat Denver, Cincinnati, and then they'll play the Steelers. And I think they have a chance to go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. Let's say the Steelers win. And they got to go on the road anyway as wild card because they've already blown the North. The North's over. We already know the Ravens are going to beat the Browns as sure as I'm sitting here. So if they win the game against Cincinnati, will they win on the road in the playoffs, or will they lose again in another playoff game on the road?
It will depend, in my opinion, who they play. I do not think they could go on the road and beat Baltimore, which they would likely play in a 3-6 matchup. And they could go on the road and beat the Texans, who are actually somehow even worse than the Steelers yesterday. And this could happen because the Chargers' last 2 games are at New England and at Vegas. So the Chargers are, if we were betting on it, the Chargers would probably get to 11 wins, right? They're 9-6 right now. The Chargers could get to 11-6. And if the Steelers lose to Cincinnati, they'll be 10-7. That would put them in as the 6th seed, the Bengals as the 7th seed. So that's Ravens Steelers in a 3-6. But if the Steelers win and get to 11 wins, then it's Pittsburgh at Houston for that early Houston road playoff game that we've watched for the last 15 years. And the Steelers probably win 16-13 in that game.
I think that game was, listen, I went there on New Year's Eve once and saw the Steelers beat the Oilers on Gary Anderson's 51-yard overtime winner. I was the guy in the end zone on TV jumping up and down when you're not allowed to do that as a media member. I'm in the end zone jumping up and down. You can see me on the video. I'm the only guy jumping up and down. Anyway, they looked worse than the Steelers yesterday. Here's Lamar going untouched on Netflix.
It's as good a running back as we've seen.
Jackson will keep this time. And look at the speed. Lamar Jackson is gone. Touchdown. Merry Christmas. 48 yards.
Lamar Christmas, the Birdman with the call of the day. He set the all-time record for quarterback rushing yards passing Vic in 41 fewer games. Here he is, Lamar, talking about it.
As far as miles per hour, that was your fastest run in the NFL of your career. Did it feel that way?
I was jogging. I was straight. I didn't have to do anything. Well, I mean, what was it though?
21 point something miles per hour. That's what they told me. I didn't clock it, but that's what they told me.
That's crazy. It's cool.
He's such a badass. It kills me that he's on my enemy, on the Ravens, honestly, because I love Lamar Jackson. I would trade the entire Steelers team for Lamar Jackson. I would make that trade right now. And the Steelers would have one player on their entire roster, him, and have no other players, and they'd still win. And Derrick Henry set the Ravens' single-season TD record with his 16th. Here's Harbaugh, so proud.
It says so much, and it says we're not done yet because it's been done, and the next thing is going to be the next game. We need to be 1-0 to win the AFC North, and that'll be our focus after we get some rest. We'll have rest until we'll get the guys out. We'll bring them back on Monday, and we'll get started for the Browns, which is always a very tough team, tough opponent, division game. So, but it will be for the AFC North crown, and we're going to need to be locked in for that. But the fact that they did it in this short stretch, I think our team probably handled it the best, arguably. I don't know. I guess the Chiefs did a good job too. So there you go. Got to give them credit, give credit where credit's due. But I'm proud of our guys, man. I'm really proud of our guys for what they accomplished. Our coaches, our strength conditioning coaches, our nutritionist, our trainer, our performance coach.
So that was really a lot of lies and very boring. I wanted to say this, though, instead. It'd be more exciting. C.J. Stroud has taken the blame for the Texans' play and has decided to go on a hunger strike for the remainder of the season. So when he plays the Steelers in the playoffs, he will have not eaten in over 3 weeks. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I don't want to listen to John Harbaugh talk about how great the Browns are you kidding me? Caleb Williams talks about the improvements he hopes to make tonight when the crappy Bears play at home during the post-Christmas holidays before New Year's, taking on Seattle at Soldier Field. And the Bears are one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL. All right, I'll give you the Jags and the Giants.
I think these fumbles that I've had for 2 to 3 weeks now, I think turnovers are, they're obviously a part of the game, but trying to eliminate those only helps our chances of winning. So I say that's one, being able to just keep being efficient the most that I can, and that doesn't just mean when I throw the football. That's with all of the alerts, the time, the play clock. Making sure, cadence and things like that, helping offensive linemen out, whatever the case may be, alerts, all of that. So, I'd say that's
no wonder they lose.
4 or 5 things right there.
Can it just be easier than what he just tried to describe as all the things he's working on this week? Man, they stink so bad, I don't even want to hear it. When we come back, we'll hear from McDonald, the coach of the Seahawks, and give you all the best bets for the Thursday nighter tonight on Prime. You name it, we got it for you on Coast to Coast.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
They may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number.
Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up.
Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
So, Mike, as you know, you and I love the Steelers. I got a Steelers wristband here. It's all Pittsburgh Steelers. I know you'll never see it, but there it is. Pittsburgh Steelers. It says Pittsburgh on it in Spanish. I had my Legend shirt on yesterday. I put it on Twitter. It had like Joe Green. It had Lambert. It had Bradshaw. It had Franco. It had Stallworth on it, and just the coolest shirt ever. I wore that. That is on my Twitter at Scott Ferrall. And then that did nothing for me. I got a new Tomlin hoodie for the sideline, the one he wears on the sideline for all the games. I got the same coach hoodie. That also did nothing for me on Christmas Day. All of my Steelers. My son got a new Steeler drip hoodie, just badass. 1933, the year they were founded. It is the sickest hoodie you ever saw in your life. Did him nothing. My daughter got a Steeler beanie cap. Did her nothing. Did nothing. All the money I spent got me nothing. Steelers letting me down, disappointing me. If I go to that Bengal game and they lose, honestly, I may jump in the river. I may jump in the river. Forget about a van by the river. I may jump in the river and go downriver, downstream, down current, and never come back.
Lest you think this is an act for us, I am currently sporting two drinks. One has a koozie. This is a seltzer, not an adult beverage, although,
That's a beer.
give me an hour.
That's a beer.
So
Coors
give me
Light.
an hour. So you got this. You got a mug here filled with tea and sadness after yesterday's
bourbon.
loss.
That's an Irish coffee filled with bourbon.
It will be. It will be soon. And I bought the entire family matching Steelers hats. I was like, we're going to sit down. We're going to watch this game. It's going to be great. It wasn't great.
You're going to like the Steelers, or you're going to pay the price.
Yep.
You
kids
what it is. Will love the Steelers if it's the last thing I do around here. When my kids were born, they were Steeler fans at birth. And, they wrap them in, this linen at the hospital. You seen the hospital linen they always wrap babies in? I'm not having it. I had Steeler towels they were wrapped in. Steeler beanies they were given. Steeler diapers they were given. And then from the age of 1 month on, they were beaten into being Steeler fans. Beaten like bulls at a rodeo. I'm just kidding. If you fell for that, there's something wrong with you people. There really is. I don't beat anyone. But my wife beats me. I just want to say, are we on the air, Mafia? No? Don't talk about beating people? Okay. Do the Mike McDonald. You got it. Here he is talking about his team that no one cares about.
Well, I think it kind of goes on. We all understand what situation we're in. The focus is going to win this football game. So do what it takes to do that and go play our best football. That's what we're focused on right now.
Oh, God, this guy, he's as dull as John Harbaugh, only worse. He came from that Harbaugh tree. I mean, this guy doing interviews is like watching paint dry. Kenneth Walker placed on IR due to his ankle he suffered in last week's game. Here's the numbers for Seattle and Chicago tonight in the Windy City with the broad shoulders at Soldier Field. Mike, what are you doing here tonight?
So my favorite number in this matchup, I took advantage of it last week on the Bears. Last 3 weeks for the Bears, they are averaging in the first half 4.7 points per game. I like Seattle first half number. You only have to lay not even a field goal. So Seattle minus 2.5 in the first half is my favorite play in this one. There are others, but I think that's where we started, Scott. I like Seattle to get off to a pretty good start. Geno obviously had the devastating interception last week, but they played a tight game against the most underrated team in the NFL this year, in my opinion, in the Vikings. And, that game could have gone either way. I think Geno bounces back with a better performance. Zach Charbonnet has filled in really well for Kenneth Walker at times, and I just think they get off to a good start. Chicago got blown off the field in the first half against Detroit last week. I think Seattle does the trick again in the first half.
All right, let's look at the biggest bets for Thursday night football tonight. Here you go. Seahawks over to 3 now for 90% of the bets, 93% of the money on the Seahawks. Total now 42, now 42.5. Almost 70% of the bets, 57% of the money on the over. Bears open at plus 125, now plus 180. 27% of the bets, 15% of the money on the Bears. I mean, that is pathetic.
Yeah. The Bears have lost 9 games in a row. They don't really do much offensively at all. We were talking during the break about Caleb and his season, and he was talking in the clip that we ran about taking care of the football. He has only thrown 1 interception in the last 12 games. They lost 9 of those in a row. He hasn't thrown an interception in any of them. So great, but who cares? What does it matter? At the end of the year, he's going to have a pretty stat line with, at this point, he's 19-5. Great touchdown to interception ratio, except that he's been sacked and lost the most yards of anybody in the league. So the offensive line stinks and the Bears have a long way to go, but it doesn't do them any good for Caleb to hang on to the ball and take sacks and not convert third downs. I'd rather him have a Peyton Manning-esque rookie season with 28 interceptions. At least he's capable of taking chances. Look, Scott, you were talking about Jaden Daniels during the break. He's going to take some chances and turn the ball over. They turned it over 5 times last week, and they still won. I'd rather see a little bit of risk-taking. What is the point of not being risky and losing 9 games in a row? And it may be 11 before the season is over. They might lose their last 11 games. What does it matter?
They stink, and Jaden Daniels wins, and he had 5 tutties, and he beat the Eagles and stopped their winning streak. He's way better. I mean, the rookie of the year is a done deal. Here's Geno as a road favorite. Geno Smith as a road favorite. 6-12-2 against the spread as a road favorite. That is awful. 90% of the bets are on the Seahawks, -4. He never covers on the road, apparently.
Yeah, but I don't want to lay the 4.5. Give me the first half. The Seahawks are winning 13-10 at halftime, and the Bears would be lucky to get to 10. But whatever, 10-7. Give me the first half. Just take the backdoor covers and all the nonsense out of it. I think the Seahawks are a way better football team. It's a short week, I get it, but give me the first half. That's what I like.
When we come back, we'll look at the most bet player props, the most bet player tutties. Once again, Carver High failing to give us his tutties when he's out on his numerous days off, failing to give us the things that we need. The Carver High tutties are what we need, and he blew us off again. Thanks a lot.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
They may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number.
Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
pick sixes today, they cover.
So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
It's you guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
All right, so can we do the most bet player props? Here they are, very exciting. You talked about Charbonnet. You got Njigba, DK, more Charbonnet, and then Caleb Williams. Any of those intriguing to you, Mr. Blewett?
Definitely, you're going to have a hard time finding a couple of those numbers because a couple of them been bet very hard to the over. I do like Charbonnet props. I think he can get over that number. I'm interested in his longest rush prop. So longest rush for Charbonnet over 15.5. When he had the full-time role 2 and 3 weeks ago, he cleared those easily. He had a 24-yard carry and a 51-yard carry. So give me the Zach Charbonnet over. And on Jackson Smith and Jigba, the yardage has gone up. The receptions are headed that way. You can still get it at 5.5. There's a lot of juice, but try and check a couple of different books to see where you might be able to get a better number. Right now, I like the over 5.5 on his receptions, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
All right, let's go to most bet player tutties. Here we go. Anytime tutties in Jigba, Metcalf, Allen, Swift, and Tyler Lockett. Any of those appeal to you?
Yeah,
I like
Charbonnet. Yeah, and Jigba's just been on fire. It's really interesting to watch a dynamic of a player that stepped into a team that already had 2 established veterans and start to take over as possibly the number one option. DK is still fantastic, but he creates space for Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? They can't isolate, they can't double team him. The Steelers struggle to get the ball to George Pickens because at times there aren't enough options. In Seattle, you have to play them straight up because both guys are very capable. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is pretty interesting there. Keenan Allen scored 2 against Detroit last week. So it's clear Caleb is looking for him in clutch scenarios. But I also expect a lower scoring game. I'm not going to spray the board with touchdown bets. I think JSN is your top option.
I like Njigba and I like Swift. And then first tutty. Why not Njigba at 9-1?
I think either him or Charbonnet for me.
All right, fair enough. Once again, Carver High failing to give us his tutties, which are crucial toward breathing and living and he gave us none of the above. So we will all run out of oxygen within an hour. Thanks so much, Mike, for not giving us your tutties for the Thursday night game. Selfishly speaking, I'm sick of that. That's twice in a row, Mafia. Twice in a row he blew us off with the tutties. He missed like Monday and then Thursday. I mean, Christ, it should be required by law. Screw him. Pete Carroll wants the Bears job. Here's to not hiring 73-year-olds to do anything. I stand by what I say. I will not be doing anything at 73. I might be dead by then. I am not hiring a 73-year-old to do anything, including working at Walmart. I'm not, Mike. I'm not doing it. Can we all
really
enjoy
don't.
ourselves at 73 and have a cocktail and sit by the pool or by the Intercoastal?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, that's what I would say. Forget like that other people want to hire them. I would say to them, what are you doing? Why are you not? Bill Belichick's got a girlfriend 50 years younger than him, and he's like, let me go back to working full time. So that I'm not sure if it says more about him or her, but he's going back to work full time and trying to run a college program. Pete Carroll seemingly has a nice setup, right? He's an advisor to the owner. I know he's got a lot of energy for his age, but I don't really understand the NFL teams getting into this. And maybe they aren't getting into it. They specifically didn't hire Belichick, and this is just a rumor right now. A lot of times these rumors are started on the talent side and not necessarily on the team side. So maybe there isn't really anything to it, but Pete's throwing his name back out there because he wants a gig. I just have a hard time with it for this reason. It's not that he's not more capable, and he's a better coach, obviously, than some of the guys that will ultimately get hired. But when you're looking at a 5-year plan and person's going to be 74 when he starts the job, what could the 5-year plan be?
Is to see if he lives through the 5 years. Here's the deal. I also put his girlfriend.
I wish that was a joke,
Belichick,
but that's actually a serious consideration, considering the stress of the job.
Girlfriend will end up sleeping with a college co-ed at North Carolina when she's down there watching one of his games. There's a better chance of that happening than her staying with him for the next 5 years. We got another hour to go with my boy Baloo.
You're not riding with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all
people. You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
Got it.
It just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.